Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some more Mitsurugi Snake Eye Yummy. Oh, and there's a little bit of Azamina in there as well. These are going to be all going second games, and I know in the last video I showcased a lot of Yummy OTKs going second. Well, we're going to be winning without relying on that at all for this video. Didn't even intend to do it as a challenge or anything. There's just so many different ways that this deck can actually play. Of course, the long-form Wombo combo deck, if you want to see that combo line, link is in the description below. But there's a lot that it can do. So we're going to be going second against Sky Striker here. Now, they have both Ray and the Widow Anchor, and they end up using the two of those to go into Camellia. Now, Camellia is going to let them dump the Engage before they link into the Kagari. Of course, we're holding the Ash Blossom for that Engage, and hoping that they don't have another follow-up after that. Looking at the hand here, I love seeing this many starters, even in a going second hand, because it really helps you push through the opponent's board. It's also really nice that this deck, like, yeah, we have Yummy monsters we have to normal summon sometimes, but with Marshmallow, obviously you can get your play started without committing your normal, and if you open a Snake Eyes monster like Poplar, you can just normal summon that, link into Link Rebo, and then special summon the rest of your Yummy monsters. Well, except for Marshmallow, because you would have a Link Rebo out, but you know what I mean. Okay, so end phase, they're actually going to link away their Shizuku with linkage to make the Ace 0. Very good on their part. It's going to let them grab a Lemniscate, which will actually matter for their follow-up turn, or for my turn as they follow up here. And of course, the Ace 0 does represent some destruction as well. Bonfire is actually not a bad top deck, as beginning with Snake Eye Ash is more ideal than Poplar, but it kind of doesn't matter either way in the grand scheme of things. Alright, we're going to lead with the Marshmallow for Snatchy and then Mignon. As we go to activate Mignon, our opponent's going to flip up the Fallen and the Virtuous. Of course, by destroying the Mignon as it's trying to resolve, the effect will not resolve. So we're going to have to special summon the Cookie Yummy from hand. Our opponent's going to use the Ace 0 effect to then pop the Yummy Snatchy, as well as summon Ray and Rose. We're going to go for Bonfire, they're going to Ash Blossom, but as you can see, we still have two more ways to get into our combo line in our hand here. Going to normal summon the Snake Eyes Poplar, and then we get to activate. They're going to use Forbidden Droplet, so we cannot get to the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. In doing so, they actually discarded their Lemniscate, which means the Graveyard effect is now live. So what we're going to do next is Poplar is going to link off into the Link Rebo, and then of course we're going to activate the Poplar effect. This is actually very important for me to do, because I do still plan on going into original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. Alright, they're going to use the Lemniscate in order to link Rose plus the Amatsu they went into off of Ray, and that's going to allow them to make the Sky Striker Ace Azalea. Now, Azalea gets to pop a card in the field, in this case my Cookie Yummy, but that truly is their last line of disruption. The only other quick effect they have left to use on my turn at all would be the Graveyard effect of Ray, but they already used the on-board quick effect, so even reviving Ray doesn't really do anything here, aside from maybe stopping me from OTKing in certain situations, but we can play around that. Okay, now we can use the Deception to grab the Hallowed Azamina, that'll let us summon out the Murishilago. Alright, now we can activate Murishilago's effect. We're going to grab the Wanted, and I'm actually going to use Hallowed Azamina to put back the Murishilago from the field, because what we're going to do next is go Chainlink 1 Hallowed Azamina, Chainlink 2 Wanted. That way we can not only get the Diabell Star, but we'll have the Ilia Sylvia negate. We don't need the negate up, because again, our opponent doesn't really have any disruption left, but better to have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. This is also why it was super duper important to put that Ash Blossom in the Spell Trap Zone, because now we can send it with Diabell Star. Diabell Star gets to set the OSS, meaning we can pivot back into Snake Eye stuff, and we can even turn the Diabell Star into Dark Magician of Destruction. That'll let us add the Magician Souls, which I'm going to special summon by sending another Diabell Star, and then I'll send that away for the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. That'll let me grab Oak. Oak gets to activate here, reviving the Poplar, and then we can go Wanted effect in order to draw a card. Really looking for any Yummy monster here, but unfortunately we just find a Fuelos. So we'll still turn these two into Flamberge Dragon. And here I was at a little bit of a crossroads. I mean, I'm definitely going to use Flamberge to put Azalea in the Spell Trap Zone. That way I don't have to deal with the Ray, but oh shoot. You might have saw it when I clicked the I button earlier. I wanted to do it now, but these three monsters here represent 7,700 points of damage, not a full 8k. I was thinking about it and I was like, well, I could link Ilya Sylvia and Flamberge into IP, revive my 2 Snake Eyes, then link Kribo to revive, then make Lollipo. Lollipo revives Cupsy Yummy Way and another Yummy monster, but I don't think that would have actually resulted in me having more damage on board. I'm pretty sure that would have actually been fewer attack points. So I don't think I could have OTK'd here. I think I would have had to have leave them at 300 life points, but to be fair, they were in top deck mode, and we can still end on multiple... No, just one Omni Negate. It could either be Ilya Sylvia or Baron de Fleur. I mean, either way, though, we're definitely, like, gonna win this duel for sure. So there's our first game. Let me show you the next one. Okay, this time we're going to be going second against Branded Sword Soul. So it's utilizing a lot of the new Branded support with a little bit of a Sword Soul package as well, because the Fallen of the White Dragon does give you that option to pivot into level 8 Synchros. So here we do have the Fuelos to help us out. Don't really love seeing Flamberge and LZ Azamina in the opening hand, but it's just part of the nature of a deck like this. So we're going to fire off our Fuelos after they use one against us. I still am not a big fan of Fuelosing blind on my own first turn. I generally think that's a misplay if you don't know what kind of deck you're playing against, but I understand why people do it. I don't think it's a horrible misplay. I think it's a minor misplay. Because after I Fuelos them, my opponent's going to end on Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon, set 1 card and pass, right? But when you're ending on a board like this, you know, Ecclesia banishes herself as cost. Or no, it's not as cost, is it? It's part of the resolution of the effect. Never mind. I was going to say since she, well, but she banishes and then comes back during the end phase. My point being, with this few number of cards on board, it is not at all unrealistic for my opponent to end up in a scenario where they could be dropping Fuelos after I clear through all this stuff. It's the kind of thing you really need to be thinking about before you just, again, blind shotgun Fuelos on your own turn 1. I get why people do it. I don't think it's a horrible misplay, but I just don't think it's a great play. Alright, so we don't really need the Habakiris in hand either, because we can actually access Mitsurugi through our combo line, but it does help going second to have the option to go into Murakumo. That actually might not have been a horrible idea here if I hadn't opened Marshmallow Yummy. If you open Marshmallow Yummy, that does always need to be the first thing you do, because of course it can only be special summoned if you have no monsters or only light beasts. So as soon as you commit to Snake Eye, Azamina, or Mitsurugi plays, you can't summon Marshmallow. In any other scenario, if that was any other Yummy main deck monster, I think I would have begun by activating Habakiri here, going for Murakumo to get the board wipe and negate/discard to really force out my opponent's disruption. But in that regard, it kind of doesn't matter which engine you begin with. It's also one of the things I really love about playing multi-engine decks like this, is that it's really easy to look at the long form turn 1 combo and be like, wow, I bet that doesn't do anything into disruptions. But yeah, the 1-card combo would suffer, but in a realistic opening hand where you have, you know, 2 to 3 pieces of engine per hand, you have a lot of opportunity to really push through a lot of stuff on your opponent's board. Alright, I knew this incredible Ecclesia was going to grab Albaz at some point, so at this point, I'm just going to go into Herald, or try to go into Herald to force it out, and sure enough, as soon as the Sorrow Cat hits the board, they are going to summon Albaz and then go into the Mirror Jade. But I am not scared of my opponent's Mirror Jade at all. We're going to go Yummy Surprise and then revive the Snatchy. Because you gotta remember, even if they were to like banish Snatchy right there and I wasn't able to go into Lollipo, I've still got both the Habakiri and OSS in my hand. My opponent knows I have the OSS, and because I discarded a Habakiri, they're probably pretty reasonably able to assume that I have another one in hand. Now the Herald of the Arclight is back, we were able to revive the Sorrow Cat. Another reason why I was not worried about the Mirror Jade at all. Okay, now that we've got all this on board, we're going to go for the Murakumo. Just to do a little bit of board cleanup here. Okay, so we get to search, and of course we get to board wipe as well. Naturally, they're going to chain the Mirror Jade effect. And I am just going to use the Herald here and not have to worry about my Murakumo getting banished and not having enough damage for lethal. Alright, so there goes the Murakumo. Or the Mirror Jade, rather. Here goes the Murakumo to pop the Fallen of White. Grabbing Mitsurugi Prayers. Mirror Jade's going to activate. I will use the Murakumo effect here just to make them discard a card. They end up discarding the one we knew about, the Long Yawn. So this last card is still unknown, but I mean, in a deck like Branded Sword Soul, I would be shocked if this was actually Nibiru, and I think at that point that's the only thing that could really threaten me. But even if I did get hit with Nibiru here, I'd still be able to set up a board, like at the very least, you know, a couple of monsters and prayers, and my opponent would be in total top deck mode. Alright, so here's the Baron. Flamberge is going to revive Oak and Poplar, and I've got Lethal plus an Omni Negate on board, so I'm just going to go for it at this point. And there we have it. So the Fuelos did definitely help us there, but we were still able to bait out all of their interactions and push through the board state they were able to set up there. So let's take a look at the next going second game. Okay, here is another duel against Sky Striker. It's so weird, like, I don't know, as somebody who's like so used to Sky Striker being going second deck, you know, it's weird to have multiple Sky Striker duels in this all going second video. But yeah, I mean, with the newest support, Sky Striker's really good at going first at setting up the Ace 0 plus set 5. Now here, my opponent's actually got a really nice sequence. They're gonna go Mecha Modules, multi-roll, set a card and then send it, but then also, or target it to send, but then also chain the linkage. This not only means that linkage is able to use this face down card for its effect, but the multi-roll only has to target the card. Even if the card isn't sent, it does still prevent me from chaining to their spell or trap cards for the rest of the turn, because it's not a then, it just says also. However, thankfully, I can still respond to the Ace 0, so I can Ash Blossom it and stop them from getting to engage. Very, very glad that I was able to make use of the Ash Blossom in spite of the multi-roll here. I was scared my opponent was about to have just a completely unreactable turn. They're going to linkage for Kagari, which I guess is fine. Yeah, because now they're able to add back the linkage. It's not like they can Hayate here and send engage and then swing in, obviously, because of the fact that it's still turn 1. Okay, so they're going to go for Shizuku set 2. They're going to add Widow Anchor. This is another very good play on their part with the multi-roll. They're going to Widow Anchor their own Shizuku during the end phase. That way, the multi-roll can set the Widow Anchor that Shizuku searched. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to have to play through the Widow Anchor as well as the possibility of linkage letting them go into Ace 0. Sure enough, as we begin with normal summon Cupsy they are going to begin with linkage on Shizuku, and that is going to summon Ace 0. I was actually really glad that we top decked the Cupsy here, because our hand was looking pretty bad playing into this board otherwise, actually. Yeah, I think, like, Poplar, Snake Eye Ash, or any Yummy monster was, like, the ideal top deck I was looking for here. Alright, now we can go into the Snatchy. They're going to use Widow Anchor, but thankfully we can just chain the Snatchy effect. However, they're going to chain Droplet, send multi-roll to negate, which is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to see. This also, I think, really highlights, too, the importance of really layering your engines, right? Because I have not shown my opponent anything besides Yummy cards, and if you expected your opponent to just be on, like, a majority Yummy deck, then yeah, this would be enough to stop them from doing a lot of things here, right? But we not only have the ability to still pivot into the Lollipo, but we still have the Wanted to go for Diabell Star and then the rest of our engine there as well. So yeah, we're going to Lollipo, revive the Snatchy and the Cupsy. Now we can tune them into the Cupsy Yummy Way. Cupsy Yummy Way gets to activate here. We're going to fetch the Cookie and the Lollipo. And I actually discarded the Lollipo because I really did want every other card in my hand. The Flamberge needs to be summoned from hand off of a Snake Eye effect. Wanted for Diabell Star to go into other stuff. Surprise represents more bodies than just Lollipo by itself, so we'll grab that back. And Call By. Haven't even touched on that, but Call By is why I'm not scared of my opponent's Ace 0 at all. As soon as it tries to activate its effect, we can simply Call By, and then we are good to go. If I really wanted to play carefully and didn't have the Call By in hand, I would have just left the Herald of the Arclight on the field, but we can be a little bit extra because we've got the Call By here. We're going to make the Rasila, send away the Only Surprise, and after that, of course, we get to not only fetch the LZ Azamina, but also we can grab the Habakiri here as well. Here's LZ Azamina, and now they're going to use the Ace 0 effect. But I mean, look at this. Even if I didn't have the Call By, we still have Habakiri plus Wanted here. Like, that's definitely more than enough when our opponent has absolutely nothing left on hand or field. Another thing that is a very common thread throughout these going second games is how we are, despite being a long-form combo deck, we're able to actually grind out all of our opponent's resources, leaving them consistently with nothing left as we're still able to combo off. All right, got one last game to show you, and then we'll finish off. And our final duel is going to be up against Regenesis Stun. Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to say it. They're playing a bunch of different floodgates. It's just a stun deck with the Regenesis as the main engine. But thankfully for me here, I got really lucky. They didn't actually have any of their floodgates like the Vanities or... No, they had Majesties and a couple of the trap cards. Here we're going to droll them as soon as they add off the Archfiend. And my opponent actually kind of misplayed here, because they used the quick play spell Code during their standby phase and not the draw phase. If they had done that during the draw phase, use Code to special summon Archfiend and then search, I would not have been able to draw on Lockbird, because of course this cannot be used during the draw phase. So if they have like duality, or not, it wouldn't be duality, but like, you know, Extrav or something in hand, they might have missed out on finding some floodgates here, but we are still gonna have to play through the Sage Negate. And the Dragon popping a spell or trap card does actually matter for stuff like Minion, as well as setting Original Sinful Spoils. That can actually really mess up my combo line here, but thankfully we have a million starters and extenders in our hand, so we are good to go. Gonna begin with Marshmallow as always, going into the Yummy Snatchy. Now we're gonna activate the Snatchy effect. They're gonna chain Sage, which I think this was a misplay. They could have waited until I placed Minion, then activated Minion, then they could have gone Dragon to basically effectively negate. I guess here they do get to destroy the Yummy Snatchy, so I can't special summon more Yummy monsters, which is probably what they were going for. Okay, never mind. That wasn't a misplay. That was fine. But we're going to normal summon Poplar, link it to Linkuriboh. Poplar goes into the spell trap. Now we can activate OSS, send away the Poplar in order to normal summon, or sorry, special summon the Snake Eye Ash. That'll add the second Poplar, which even though I normal summoned a Poplar, we can still special this Poplar off its own effect. And because Linkuriboh is a Link 1 monster, we can special summon our Yummy monsters. We're going to special summon Cupsy Yummy going into the Flamberge next off Snake Eye Ash. Going to use Flamberge F to push the Regenesis Dragon into the back row. Now we don't have to worry about our spell and trap cards getting destroyed anymore. We're then going to synchro into Lollipo Yummy Way. It's going to get to revive the Yummy Snatchy, as well as another one of our level 1 Yummy monsters. And now we can go 2+8 to make the Baron de Fleur. This will not only let us pop the Sage, but also if they happen to have a hand trap, we are going to be able to stop that. But looking at my opponent's build, it looked like it was pretty much just Floodgates and then board breakers like Lava Golem and Super Poly for going second. Alright, here's Cupsy Yummy Way. Gonna put it in the EMZ just to make sure I've got enough room here. You don't typically, going second, really have to worry about blocking your EMZ with a Synchro monster or a Fusion or something like that, because the only Link monster you'll ever really put in the EMZ is IP, or maybe SP, I guess, sometimes going second. But as long as you're not worried about, you know, not being able to make IP or SP, then you can just throw whatever in the EMZ, and for this build, it really doesn't matter. I guess if you do it early on, it could matter for Yummy Snatchy, but there's no way you're putting out enough bodies that you're considering putting a Synchro monster in the EMZ, and you haven't already done Yummy stuff. So that kind of ends up being a moot point. I guess it could matter for Linkuriboh, but it's not that hard to keep track of in the grand scheme of things. All right. Anyway, there are the games all going second as promised. I didn't really mention it during the video, but these are also my rank up games too, ranking up from Plat to Diamond. I know it's just Plat, but still kind of neat that we're able to go so quickly up through the Platinum rank with such a fun deck. Because I did pretty much all of my... Well, let's talk about it in the over the deck build here. Okay, so here is the list. It's the exact same list actually as the previous video, which goes over the full turn 1 combo line if you open Snake Eye Ash. So that's going to be linked down in the description below. The Yummy monsters, as well as DML Star and a Bonfire, obviously, and OSS. There's a bunch of starters in here, but Snake Eye Ash is the one that'll get you the best board. Anyway, like I was saying towards the end of that last duel, yeah, I actually used this deck almost exclusively to rank up at the beginning of this season from Plat to Diamond, which again, I know it's just Plat, but yeah, I mean, it's like I said in the past couple of weeks of videos here, haven't really felt too compelled to grind all the way up to Master, you know, in quite some time, just because, I don't know, the only real benefit besides internal bragging rights, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, is like a few extra gems. Anyway, but yeah, this was the deck I used for pretty much the whole climb. I was playing branded, of course, but you have to consider I'm not very good at playing branded. So whenever I switched to branded to get games for a video, I was kind of tanking my own rating a little bit. Like, I was getting a little bit better as time was going on, but a lot of it was back and forth, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, right? And I wasn't ranking up at all. But no, this build in particular, initially right before the branded pack came out, pushed me from Plat 5 up to like Plat 2 and some change, and then yeah, just last night I switched back to this and ranked up. So I've been very, very impressed with this deck's performance. You know, I really did start it as just like a science experiment more than anything else. Like, how much can I actually fit on a turn 1 end board with all these different archetypes? But I think this is like legitimately a not bad deck, and you saw from those going second games that it can hold its own even if it doesn't just get to pop off on turn 1, right? I would kind of like to play some more hand traps here. That is something I've pretty consistently thought as I'm going second, is that I'd really like more hand traps. As mentioned in the last video where I covered this build, there are actually a bunch of things you could cut to get it down to 40 cards if you wanted to. Second Habakiri is not actually needed because we search Habakiri off of the Herald effect. Poplar, second Poplar is not technically needed, but it's really good to open Poplar instead of the option to go into Ash for Poplar. What else is there? Oh, and then, yeah, you don't have to play a full playset of Cookie and Lollipo Yummy. You could cut down to like 2 of each, or 1 Lollipo and 3 Cookie if you wanted. But I really like having 3 of each of these, because they act, again, not only as starters, but also extenders, really bailing you out of a lot of scenarios, like those going second games I showed you. If you really wanted to, you could also go the other direction and bump this up to 60, like have a fully fleshed out Mitsurugi engine. You could play more hand traps, you could maybe play some more off engine like triple tactics talent and stuff like that. But you wouldn't really have any more room in the extra deck is the thing. This is a very, very tight extra deck. In fact, the turn 1 combo line blows through 13 of these 15 cards. After you're done comboing on turn 1, the only things you typically have left in your extra deck are Cookie Yummy Way and SP Little Knight. Literally the 2 that you summon on your opponent's turn. So that is something that you got to be really mindful of if you are going to expand this deck outward and try to get it up to 60, is that you are not going to have any more room for shenanigans in your extra deck. Yeah, I'm looking and I'm like, is there anything in here that's even optional? And the only thing I could really think of is IPSP, but I mean, without these, your Snake Eye bodies don't really have anything to do and they're just going to clog up the board, so I guess unless you find something else to do with those, there's not really much else you could do, I think, as far as the extra deck goes. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. So thank you, as always, for watching. I super appreciate your support. We're going to move on to our outro now, so that way we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.